Hello, guys. I am so excited to be on with you today. I wanted to share a couple things because obviously I wasn't on the recap Zoom yesterday. And, I don't want to share a ton of stuff, but I'm just going to share a couple things if Michaela wants to share as well. And then we'll go ahead and get started listening to the book together. But what I loved, and I know you guys heard tons of amazing things, so I'm just going to kind of keep it short and sweet. But um, what I wrote down is believe in yourself and there will come a day when others believe in you. And I love this because we just had so many really good conversations about and I'll just share it, a little bit further with you guys, and I don't know if anyone had shared this yesterday, but we were in a like little coffee shop area and we were chatting and I was having a conversation with Sherry Lynn, and I had told her like, hey, some of my girls like they're wanting to know like when is Christmas cash coming out, and um, she told me December is when it's going to come out, and she's like, but there's so much on the table right now, like they shouldn't even be thinking about that. Like it's literally the beginning of November, you guys, and there's so much that can be done this month. Like whether you are re-ranking to Ruby, whether you're going Ruby for the first time, whether you're going Diamond for the first time, whether you're re-ranking to Diamond, like there's so many bonuses on the line right now, whether it's your weekly bonuses because you're new, like whatever your next thing is, if you went Diamond in, less than 6 months before or helped someone go diamond in less than 6 months before, why can't you do it in these 90 days that we've had? Like, why can't you make that happen? If you've built a ruby in 1 month for a promotion, even if it was yours or to go emerald, why can't you get that last ruby that you need in order to go diamond? Like, it all literally starts up here and it starts with that belief or that disbelief. And oftentimes when we feel like maybe we've gone a couple steps backwards, or maybe we've been here and we're like, what do I do, like, I forget. We complicate it, you guys. We complicate it, and once we stop believing in ourselves, others stop believing in us. Not your leader, not your downline, but potentials, people that are watching you. They stop believing or don't ever start believing in you because you are not showing that you believe in yourself. And so it really comes down to like, you know, um, there's 3 more weeks or plus left in this month. If you put a one in the chat, if you have ever helped someone go Ruby in less than a month, drop a 2 in the chat if you've ever gone Ruby in less than a month. Drop a 3 in the chat if you've ever helped someone go diamonds in less than 90 days. I know I have, right? I know we all have our different like spots that we're in, but like, why can't you go diamond this month? Why can't you get one of those bonuses this month? You can. It just starts up here. It starts with putting in that work, and it starts with having that belief in yourself, because it really is all mindset, you guys. When somebody comes to me and they're like, I'm working so hard, I'm not getting any results, I'm so discouraged, and I'm like, you're not getting the results because number one, let's look at your actual messages. Let's look at your actual work. But it's because when you're doing that work, you're already having a belief that you're not going to get those results. You already have the belief that you're not going to go diamond. You already have the belief that like it can't happen for you. You already have the belief and the stress that like, no, thank you, right? You have to have that belief of like, this is a business, you guys, and you got to be excited about it. But at the end of the day, like it's a business. You put in that work, and 1 + 1 = 2. Like if you put in the work, you're going to get the results. And I can't tell you if your one hap is going to do well or if it's going to be your 50th hap. I don't know. But when you do those things consistently every single day, that's when your mindset starts to grow and your belief starts to grow in yourself, and your consistency starts to show those results. So, you guys, every single person on here, every single one of you guys should be either helping someone go Ruby this month or regaining yourself. Those are usually the same things, okay? I want to see every single person on here earn a bonus. Like no matter what it is, every single one of you guys should be earning a bonus, and it's possible. So that was one thing that just kind of stood out to me, like believe in yourself and there will come a day when others believe in you. And I felt that so hard because that was me. I just freaking worked and worked and, poured into other people as much as I could. Some people wanted to hear it, some people didn't, and that's okay. And then I worked and I worked and I worked. And then people started to buy into me because I talked about my vision. I talked about my goals so much publicly, even. And they saw my consistency that I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to do anything else. Like I wasn't going to go anywhere. And they started to buy into me because they started to believe that, like, if I believed it, they could borrow some of that belief. So that was one thing. And then the other thing that I put too was hard work is the constant effort to go after what you want and climb the ladder. And you guys, like, you might have hit a goal that you came here for. Maybe it was your first 150 bonus. Like maybe it was to buy your car and you have your car. Like, but it really is creating that new goal and going after it. And I know every single person here has a goal right now. I know it. I'm looking at every single person. You all have a goal right now. You just have to believe that it actually can be possible for you. And that's where it starts up here. And so I'm going to give you guys a challenge is to write down your goal every single day. I know that sounds simple. You've heard me say it before, but like, even if you are lacking belief in it right now or in yourself in it, I want you to just grab a piece of paper, grab a notebook every single day, twice a day, morning and night, if possible. Literally just write like, I am Ruby November 2023. I am Ruby November 2023. I am Emerald November 2023. Like, this is for me. I am doing it. And that's going to start to change your mindset as you're doing the work. And it's going to give you better results. Like, it's just facts. When you believe that you're going to get the results, you get better results. And people always say, well, let's break that down. Like, how do you build that belief? You build that belief through work, through faith, and through that mindset exercise, which is writing things down or doing self-development, right? Because you can't have belief that you're going to, hit diamond this month if you're not putting in the work. You're not going to have the belief if you don't start to try and build that muscle, build that belief muscle, which means writing it down as if it's already done, thanking Heavenly Father as if it's already done, and really making sure that you're doing those things like this or self-development every single day that is going to help grow that mindset. Because it doesn't matter how many times you listen to me talk, this is great self-development, but you have to listen or read things yourself to internalize them. Okay. So go ahead, Micaela.
So I know I shared a lot last night, but I had a few more ahas that I didn't share last night. So I'll go ahead and share them here as well. So when Steph and Joel, at our little training on Saturday, we're talking and stuff. I know we, as leaders get this question a lot, is like, how do you stay motivated? How do you get motivated? I mean, drop a 5, I don't know what number we're on, 4, drop a 4 in the chat if you have asked that question before, like, or if you're wondering to yourself right now, how do I get motivated? How do I stay motivated? And be honest, because I know we've all been there before. I know I was there at one point before, but I'm gonna be honest. Like, thank you guys for being honest in the comment too. But like Eden said, it's BS. Like, motivation's yes, it's an emotion, just like being angry, sad, happy, whatever other emotion there is, it's an emotion. So emotions are fleeting and you need to develop discipline. And that's something we talked about last night too a lot, is making a commitment and just deciding to commit to the goal of why you started this business, commit to where you're going, commit to the dreams, commit to the vision that you have with this business. Because, motivation can only get you so far. But when you have discipline, that will carry you the rest of the way. That will carry you to commit to that goal and make it happen. And then just make sure to have those people like that you have in your like back corner and stuff that are willing to call you out and call you higher, not just like friends, but allies like me, Christy, Brooklyn, Destiny, and I can name so many other leaders that will call you out when we know that you're not showing up the way we know that you can, because that's going to also help you develop yourself as a business owner and a business leader. And it's going to call you higher to step up to the plate, to make sure you're staying accountable to what you said that you were going to do and not break those promises like you were saying last night. night. And then a couple of other things that I love that I heard. I don't remember. Actually, I think this was Joey saying this. He was bringing up, he was talking about the Wright brothers. If you guys don't know who the Wright brothers are, they were like, I think the first people to like ever fly, isn't that correct? Something like that. They had like a dream to fly, and everybody else in the world had this dream to fly. And I've heard this before, not per se with the Wright brothers, but I've heard this like saying before, like everybody, there's always like a million people who have the same exact dream as you. But there's always that one person that's willing to do what it takes to actually make it happen. So are you that person that's willing to do what it takes to make that dream happen? Because that's exactly what the Wright brothers did. They had a dream to go fly. So did many other people. But guess what? They went up in the air and they flew for like 8 seconds. And they were the first people to do that. But if we don't act on those dreams, then it's just a dead dream. It's not something that's going to actually happen. And then behind the questions is if you're asking yourself those questions, like, how do I stay motivated? Or what if this, what if that? Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? What if I'm not good enough? What if I can't do this? I'm not like Christy. I'm not like this, that, and the other person. If you're asking yourself these questions, behind these questions is a lack of belief in yourself. And we've all had this before. But how many of you guys are trying to find an excuse rather than finding a solution to making it happen? I love that when they talked about that, because that was like a hit when they got to for myself too, because I caught myself in those positions many times where I'm questioning things, but it's really truly the lack of belief that I didn't have in myself to actually go out there and make it happen. So I want to challenge you guys to find that belief in yourself. And just like as Christy said, it takes those small little things, the small little habits that are going to build and develop that belief. It's the consistency with that and the commitment. And then when you commit to and be consistent with those commitments that you made, guess what? That you start believing in yourself. You believe what you can actually do. When you complete a 4-in-1, guess what? You're going to believe you can complete 2, and so on and so forth. And then one last thing that I will share that I loved, and they said, when someone believes in you, you win. But when you believe in you, everybody else around you wins. And I love that because, again, we're in a people business, and the way that we make money is by helping other people. Like, if you're just looking at yourself and how you can help yourself rather than just other people, I want you to challenge you to help somebody go Ruby, push somebody to, earn a 4-in-1 bonus, all of these things, because when they're winning, you're gonna win inevitably, but everybody else wins on top of it when you are just focusing on and believing in yourself and doing the things and leading from the front. So that's all I had to share. And then I know Christy wanted to talk a little bit about like dream boards and stuff, you guys. Like, dream boards are so huge. I am actually gonna remake mine fell off the wall, so I have it over here. But I'm gonna be doing like a little dream board party with my team locally here soon, and we're gonna we're gonna print out our dreams and stuff, anything that we've ever wanted to accomplish. If you've never done a dream board, they're amazing. I do them every single year, and sometimes also I do them multiple times a year, because it doesn't hurt anything to actually dream and like think about where you're going over the next year or next few years, and it's going to help you get excited about where you're going. And then the other part of it is just make sure when you have that dream or that dream board you make sure you put it somewhere where you can see it every single day. So again, that's something that will hold you accountable to making it happen. But there's really sky's the limit when you make a dream board. Like, there's nothing that you can or can't put on it. Whatever you feel in your heart that you want to put on it, journal it, write it out, and then go use Pinterest to print out your pictures and throw it on a board, and then call her good, and then just go work off your booty to make it happen.
I love that. Yeah, so this is not going to be like a dream board Zoom, but I wanted to start to mention it because, this is something that has been very powerful for me. Like I said, I'm not going to like go too far into it, but I can look back on my dream boards over the years, and I can literally mark off every single thing. And I can go back and say exactly when it happened. And, putting it on a dream board doesn't make it happen, right? Like, it's not magic. But what it is that you are putting it out there, and you are taking that self responsibility for, this is my goal. And it's that daily reminder, looking at it. And that's when the magic happens, because you're literally constantly like telling yourself, you're telling Heavenly Father, like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And it's that determination that makes it happen. Just like the Wright brothers, it wasn't because they put it on a dream board so they flew. It's because they put it on a dream board and they said, we're going to freaking do this. And everybody else said, we're going to do this, and then quit or stopped or got discouraged or lacked belief. But they said, you know what? I fell, I'm going to get back up. Fell, going to get back up. Fell, going to get back up. The goal never changed, right? The goal never changed until they hit the goal, and then they upped their goal. So let's go ahead and we're going to listen to this. And if you guys want, feel free, like, send out some hat messages while we're doing this, you know, try to really intently listen, or you can go ahead and get out a notebook and take notes. If you can take notes while you're listening to something, even if it's a Zoom, I always take notes to every Zoom that I'm on, even ones that I'm hosting, because when you write it down, you retain it more, right? If you're just watching things, like, I can remember movies I've watched and I don't remember one thing from it, but I remember like one line, right? But like if you write things down, you're going to retain it more. So I 10 out of 10 recommend writing down some notes while you listen to this, or sending out hat messages, because I want to give you guys the, you know, most bang for your buck. And whenever I'm listening to self-development, it's either when I'm driving or it's when I'm working. Okay. So, or like in the shower. So let's go ahead and get started.
So you might as well adopt beliefs that support you.
This is the end of a chapter, so we're going to start one in just a second.
Thoughts lead to feelings, which lead to actions, which lead to results.
Oh, that was good. Thoughts lead to feelings, which leads to action, which leads to results. That's an aha for me right there.
You can choose to think and act like rich people do, and therefore create the results that rich people create. The question is, how do rich people think and act? That's precisely what you'll discover in part 2 of this recording. Here's another declaration. Place your hand on your heart and say, I observe my thoughts and entertain only those that empower me. Now,
okay, that's powerful. I observe my thoughts and only entertain ones that empower me. That's powerful, because we will enter, if you give more attention to the thoughts that say like you can't, or even just the thoughts that say I have better things to do, guess what? You're going to get distracted so easily. When I have any thoughts that are not focused where I want to go, I just try, of course I'm not perfect, I try not to entertain them. I try not to think more into them. Instead, what I do is I will distract myself and send another message, or I'll go take a shower, or I'll go do something else that doesn't like allow me to sit there in that thought.
touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. In part 1 of this recording, we discussed the process of manifestation. Thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. Everything begins with your thoughts, which are produced by your mind. Isn't it amazing that our mind is pretty much the basis for our life, and yet most of us have no clue as to how this powerful apparatus functions? So let's start by taking a simple look at how your mind works. Metaphorically, your mind is nothing more than a big file cabinet, similar to what you'd find in your office or home. All information that comes in is labeled and filed in folders so that it's easy to retrieve to help you survive. Did you hear that? I didn't say thrive, I said survive. In every situation in front of you, you go to the files of your mind to determine how to respond. Say, for example, you're considering a financial opportunity. You automatically go to your file labeled money, and from there decide what to do. The only thoughts you can have about money will be what are stored in your money file. That's all you can think about, because that's all that's in your mind in that category. So you decide based on what you believe is logical, sensible, and appropriate for you at the time. You make what you think is the right choice. The problem, however, is that your right choice may not be a successful choice. In fact, what makes perfect sense to you may consistently produce perfectly poor results. For instance, let's imagine my wife is in the mall. That shouldn't be too hard for me to imagine. She sees this green purse. It's on sale for 25% off. She immediately goes to her mind files with the question, should I get this purse? In a nanosecond, her mind files come back with the answer. You've been looking for a green purse to go with those green shoes you bought last week. Plus, it's just the right size. Buy it. As she rushes to the checkout counter, her mind is not only thrilled that she's going to have this beautiful purse, but glowing with pride that she got it for 25% off. To her mind, this purchase makes perfect sense. She wants it, she believes she needs it, and it's such a deal. However, at no point did her mind come up with the thought, true, this is really a nice purse, and true, this is a great deal, but right now I'm $3,000 in debt, so I better hold off. She didn't come up with that information because no file in her head contains that information. The file of when you're in debt, don't buy anymore was never installed in her and doesn't exist, which means that particular choice is not an option. Do you catch my drift? If you've got files in your cabinet that are non-supportive of financial success, those will be the only choices you can make. They'll be natural, automatic, and make perfect sense to you, but in the end, they will still produce financial failure or mediocrity at best. Conversely, if you've got mind files that support financial success, you will naturally and automatically make decisions that produce success. You won't have to think about it. When it comes to money, wouldn't it be incredible if you could inherently think how rich people think? I sure hope you said absolutely or something to that effect. As we stated previously, the first step to any change is awareness, meaning the first step to thinking the way rich people think is to know how rich people think. Rich people think very differently from poor and middle class people. They think differently about money, wealth, themselves, other people, and pretty well every other facet of life. Now we're going to examine some of these differences, and as part of your reconditioning, install alternative wealth files into your mind. With new wealth files come new choices. You can then catch yourself when you are thinking like poor and middle class people and consciously shift your focus to how rich people think. Remember, you can choose to think in ways that will support you in your happiness and success instead of ways that don't. Having said this, however, I want to add that in no way, shape, or form do I mean to degrade poor people or want to appear to be without compassion for their situation. I do not believe that rich people are better than poor people, they're just richer. At the same time, I want to make sure you get the message, so I'm going to make the distinctions between the rich and poor as extreme as possible. There are 17 ways rich people think and act differently than poor and middle class people. They're summed up in wealth files. Here's the first one. Rich people believe, I create my life. Poor people believe, life happens to me. If you want to create wealth, it is imperative that you believe that you are the steering wheel of your life, especially your financial life. If you don't believe this, then you must inherently believe that you have little or no control over your life, and therefore you have little or no control over your financial success. That is not a rich attitude. Did you ever notice that it's usually poor people who spend a fortune playing the lottery? They actually believe their wealth is going to come from someone.
Okay, so I'm going to make it so that you guys can unmute yourselves. And if you guys want to share like an aha from even just that first little part. And sorry, I was looking at the chat. So the book is called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I'm going to make it so you guys can unmute if you guys want to share like an aha or maybe a mind shift that you've had even just since we started these calls or we started these books. You guys can just unmute yourself. I'm going to keep playing it, and then if I hear someone, I'll just stop it again. But that was freaking, that's it, y'all. That's it. Like, that's literally the difference, is that I know I'm in control of my future. Nothing happens to me, it happens for me, and I control what I get to do. And that self-responsibility, oh my gosh, it's like taking back your power. I'm responsible for it. Like, that's a blessing. No one else is responsible for it. I'm responsible for it, which means that I can do something about it, which means like I'm in control of it. So when people start to blame others or start to think that they're no longer in control over it, or, oh, well, when you know, Christy does this, then you know, my business will boom. Well, if Christy would do that, then my business will boom. Well, if It Works would give me a coffee promo instead of a smoothie promo, then I would really be able to sign some customer. You know, like, we start to think of all these things. Well, if I didn't have this 9 to 5, then I could really work this business. Or if I didn't already have debt, it'd be so much easier to work this, like, right? Those are all of those, like, really just, they're just poor mindsets. And it's awesome because we are in control of changing them. And it starts with speaking out what you want, how you want, and taking that responsibility essentially for yourself, for your business, for your life, right? Like, there's people who have gone through the things that Oprah Winfrey has, and you know what? They're on the streets. There's also people who have gone through the things that Oprah Winfrey has, and they're freaking Oprah Winfrey, right? If you don't know her story, like, you can look it up, and it's because she decided she was going to be the boss and she was going to freaking make it happen. So anyways,
picking their name out of a hat. They spend Saturday night glued to the TV, excitedly watching the draw to see if wealth is going to land on them this week. Sure, everyone wants to win the lottery, and even rich people play for fun once in a while, but first, they don't spend half their paycheck on tickets, and second, winning the lottery is not their primary strategy for creating wealth. You have to believe that you are the one who creates your success, that you are the one who creates your mediocrity, and that you are the one creating your struggle around money and success. Consciously or unconsciously, it's still you. Instead of taking responsibility for what's going on in their lives, poor people choose to play the role of the victim. A victim's predominant thought is often, poor me. So presto, by virtue of the law of intention, that's literally what victims get. They get to be poor. Notice that I said they play the role of the victim. I didn't say they are victims. I don't believe anyone is a victim. I believe people play the victim because they think it gets them something. We'll discuss this in more detail shortly. That said, how can you tell when people are playing the victim? Well, they leave 3 very obvious clues. First clue is blame. When it comes to why they're not rich, most victims are professionals at the blame game. The object of this game is to see how many people and circumstances you can point the finger at without ever looking at yourself. It's fun, for victims at least. Unfortunately, it's not such a blast for anyone who is unlucky enough to be around them. That's because those in close proximity to victims become easy targets. Victims blame the economy, they blame the government, they blame the stock market, they blame their employer, they blame their employees, they blame their manager, they blame their partner, they blame their spouse, they blame God, and of course they always blame their parents. It's always someone else, it's always something else that is to blame. The problem is anything or anyone but them. Victim clue number 2, justifying. If victims aren't blaming, you'll also find them justifying or rationalizing their situation by saying something like, money's not really important. Now let me ask you this question. If you said that your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your partner or your friend weren't all that important, would any of them be around for very long? I don't think so, and neither would money. At my live seminars, some participants always come up to me and say, you know, Harv, money's not really that important. I look them directly in the eyes and say, you're broke, right? They usually look down at their feet and meekly reply with something like, well, right now I'm having a few financial challenges, but I retort, no, it's not right now. It's always. You've always been broke or close to it. Yes or yes. At this point, they usually nod their head in agreement and woefully return to their seats, ready to listen and learn as they finally realize what a disastrous effect this one belief has had on their lives. Of course they're broke. Would you have a motorcycle if it wasn't important to you? Of course not. Would you have a pet parrot if it wasn't important to you? Of course not. In the same way, if you don't think that money is important, you simply won't have any. Listen up, my friends. Money is extremely important in the areas in which it works and extremely unimportant in the areas in which it doesn't. And although love may make the world go round, it sure doesn't pay for the building of any hospitals, churches, or homes. It also doesn't feed anybody. If I fail to persuade you and you still somehow believe that money's not important, then I only have 2 words for you. You're broke, and you always will be until you eradicate that non-supportive file from your financial blueprint. Victim clue number 3, complaining. Complaining is the absolute worst possible thing you could do for your health or your wealth. The worst. Why? I'm a big believer in the universal law that states, what you focus on expands. When you are complaining, what are you focusing on? What's right with your life or what's wrong with it? Well, you're obviously focusing on what's wrong with it. And since what you focus on expands, you'll keep getting more of what's wrong. Many teachers in the personal development field talk about the law of attraction. It states that like attracts like, meaning that when you are complaining, you are actually attracting crap into your life. Have you ever noticed that complainers usually have a tough life? It seems that everything that could go wrong does go wrong for them. They say, of course I complain. Look how crappy my life is. And now that you know better, you can explain to them, no, it's because you complain that your life is so crappy. Shut up and don't stand near me. I stay as far away from complainers as possible because negative energy is infectious. Plenty of people, however, love to hang out and listen to complainers. Why? It's simple. They're waiting for their turn. You think that's bad? Wait till you hear what happened to me. Here's some homework that I promise will change your life. For the next 7 days, I challenge you to not complain at all. Not just out loud, but in your head as well. I've given this challenge to thousands of people, and I'm blown away at how many of them have told me that this one teensy-weensy exercise has totally transformed their lives. I guarantee you'll be astonished at how amazing your life will be when you stop focusing on and thereby stop attracting crap into your life. Now you're ready to hear one of the greatest success secrets in the world. Are you ready? Listen to this carefully. There is no such thing as a really rich victim. Did you get that? I'll say it again. There's no such thing as a really rich victim. Besides, who would listen? Oh, I got a scratch on my yacht. To which almost anyone would respond, who gives a hoot? It's time to decide. You can be a victim or you can be rich, but you can't be both. Every time, and I mean every time you blame, justify, or complain, you are slitting your financial throat. Sure, it would be nice to use a kinder and gentler metaphor, but forget it. I'm not interested in kind and gentle right now. I'm interested in helping you see exactly what the hell you might be doing to yourself. It's time to take back your power and acknowledge that you create everything that is in your life and everything that is not in it. Realize that you create your wealth, you create your non-wealth, and you create every level in between. Now, place your hand on your heart and declare, I create the exact level of my financial success. Now, touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. I'd like you to take these millionaire mind actions. 1. Every time you catch yourself blaming, justifying, or complaining, slide your index finger across your neck as a trigger to remind yourself that you are slitting your financial throat. 2. Do a debrief. At the end of each day, write down one thing that went well and one thing that didn't. Then write the answer to the following question. How did I create each of these situations? This exercise will keep you accountable for your life and make you aware of the strategies that are working for you and the strategies that are not. Wealth file number 2. Rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play the money game not to lose. Poor people play the money game on defense rather than offense. Let me ask you, if you were to play any sport or any game strictly on defense, what are the chances of your winning that game? Most people would agree, slim and none. Yet that's exactly how most people play the money game. Their primary concern is survival and security instead of creating wealth and abundance. So what is your goal? What is your objective? What is your true intention? The goal of truly rich people is to have massive wealth and abundance. Not just some money, but lots of money. So what is the big goal of poor people? To have enough to pay the bills. And on time would be a miracle. Again, let me remind you of the power of intention. When your intention is to have enough to pay the bills, that's exactly how much you're going to get. Just enough to pay the bills and not a dime more. Middle-class people at least go a step further. Too bad it's a tiny step. Their big goal in life also happens to be their favorite word in the whole wide world. They just want to be comfortable.
Oh,
I hate to break
I
the
hate
news
that
to you,
word.
but there's a huge difference between being comfortable and being rich. I have to admit, I've had the experience of being on all three sides of the proverbial fence. I've been extremely broke, as in having to borrow $1 for gas for my car. But let me qualify that. First, it wasn't even my car. Second, that dollar came in the form of 4 quarters. Do you know how embarrassing it is for an adult to pay for gas with 4 quarters? The kid at the pump looked at me as if I were some kind of vending machine robber and then just shook his head and laughed. Once I got my act together, I graduated to the level of being comfortable. Comfortable is nice. At least you get to go out to decent restaurants for a change. But pretty well all I could order was chicken. Now, there's nothing wrong with chicken if that's what you really want, but often it's not. In fact, people who are only financially comfortable usually decide on what to eat by looking at the right-hand side of the menu, the price side. What would you like for dinner tonight, dear? I'll have this $7.95 dish. Let's see what it is. Surprise, surprise, it's the chicken for the 19th time this week. I have to say that for me personally, one of the best things about being rich is not having to look at the prices on the menu anymore. I eat exactly what I want to eat, regardless of the price. I can assure you, I didn't do that when I was broke or comfortable. It boils down to this. If your goal is to be comfortable, chances are you will never get rich. But if your goal is to be rich, chances are you'll be mighty comfortable. One of the principles I teach in my Millionaire Mind seminars is, if you shoot for the stars, you'll at least hit the moon. Now place your hand on your heart and declare, my goal is to become a millionaire and more. Now touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Here are your millionaire mind actions. 1. Write down 2 financial objectives that demonstrate your intention to create abundance, not mediocrity or poverty. Write play-to-win goals for your first, annual income, and second, your net worth. Make these goals achievable with a realistic time frame. Yet at the same time, remember to shoot for the stars. 2. Go to an upscale restaurant and order a meal without asking how much it costs. If funds are tight, sharing is acceptable. P.S. No chicken. Wealth file number 3. Rich people are committed to being rich. Poor people want to be rich. Ask most people if they want to be rich, and they'd look at you as if you were crazy. Of course I want to be rich, they'd say. The truth, however, is that most people don't really want to be rich. Why? Because they have a lot of negative wealth files in their subconscious mind that tells them there's something wrong with being rich. At our Millionaire Mind Intensive, one of the questions we ask people is, what are some of the possible negatives about being rich or trying to get rich? Here's what some people have to say. See if you can relate to any of these. What if I make it and lose it? Then I'll really be a failure. I'll be at the highest tax bracket and I'll have to give half my money to the government. It's too much work. I could lose my health trying to get rich. Everyone's going to want a handout. I could be robbed. It's too much responsibility. I'll have to manage all that money. And on and on and on it goes. As I mentioned earlier, each of us has wealth files inside the cabinet called our mind. These files contain our personal beliefs that include why being rich would be wonderful. However, for most people, these files also include information as to why being rich might not be so wonderful. This means they have mixed internal messages about wealth. One part of them gleefully says, having more money will make life a lot more fun. But then another part screams, yeah, but I'm going to have to work like a dog. What's the fun in that? One part says, I'll be able to travel the world. Then the other part chirps in, yeah, and everyone in the world's going to want a handout. These mixed messages may seem innocent enough, But in reality, they're one of the major reasons most people never become rich. You can look at it like this. The universe, which is another way of saying higher power, is akin to a big mail order department. It is constantly delivering people, events, and things to you. You order what you get by sending energetic messages out to the universe based on your predominant beliefs. Again, based on the law of attraction, the universe will do its best to say yes and support you. But if you have mixed messages in your files, the universe can't understand what you want. The number one reason most people don't get what they want is because they don't know what they want.
Oof, that's good.
Rich people are totally clear that they want wealth. They are unwavering in their desire. They are fully committed to creating wealth. As long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, they will do whatever it takes to have wealth. Rich people do not send mixed messages to the universe. Poor people do. By the way, when you read the last paragraph, if a little voice inside your head said something to the effect of, rich people don't care if it's legal, moral, or ethical, you are definitely doing the right thing in listening to this recording. You'll soon find out what a detrimental way of thinking that really is. Earlier, we talked about the power of intention. I know it might be hard to believe, but you always get what you want you subconsciously want, not what you say you want. Put bluntly, if you are not achieving the wealth you say you desire, there's a good chance it's because first, you subconsciously don't really want wealth, or second, you're not willing to do what it takes to create it. Let's explore further. There are actually 3 levels of so-called wanting. The first level is, I want to be rich. That's another way of saying, I'll take it if it falls in my lap. Wanting alone is useless. Have you ever noticed that wanting doesn't necessarily lead to having? Wealth does not come from merely wanting it. The second level of wanting is, I choose to be rich. This entails deciding to become rich. Choosing is a much stronger energy and goes hand in hand with being responsible for creating your reality. Good, but not good enough. The third level of wanting is, I commit to being rich. The definition of the word commit is to devote oneself unreservedly. This means holding absolutely nothing back, giving 100% of everything you've got to achieving the goal of creating wealth. It means being willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. This is the warrior's way. No excuses, no ifs, no buts, no maybes, and failure is not an option. The warrior's way is simple. I will be rich or I will die trying. I commit to being rich. Try saying that to yourself. What comes up for you? For some, it feels empowering. For others, it feels daunting. Most people would never truly commit to being rich. If you ask them, would you bet your life that in the next 10 years you will be wealthy? Most would say, no way. That's the difference between rich people and poor people. It's precisely because people won't truly commit to being rich that they are not rich and most likely never will be. Some might say, Harv, what are you talking about? I work my butt off. I'm trying real hard. Of course I'm committed to being rich. And I would reply that your trying means very little. Again, the definition of commitment is to devote oneself unreservedly. The key word is unreservedly, which means you're putting everything, and I mean everything you've got into it. I hate to have to be the one to tell you this, but getting rich is not a stroll in the park. And anyone who tells you it is either knows a heck of a lot more than me or is a little out of integrity. In my experience, getting rich takes focus, courage, knowledge, expertise, 100% of your effort, a never give up attitude, and of course, a rich mindset. Again, what this means is that if you are not fully, totally, and truly committed to creating wealth, chances are you won't. Are you willing to work 16 hours a day? Rich people are. Are you willing to work 7 days a week and give up most of your weekends? Rich people are. Are you willing to sacrifice seeing your family, your friends, and give up your recreations and hobbies? Rich people are. Are you willing to risk all of your time, energy, and startup capital with no guarantee of returns? Rich people are. It's interesting to note that once you do commit, the universe will bend over backwards to assist you, guide you, support you, and even create miracles for you. But first, you have to commit. Now, place your hand on your heart and declare, I commit to being rich. And now, touch your head and say, I have a millionaire mind. Here are your millionaire mind actions. 1. Write a short paragraph on exactly why creating wealth is important to you. Be very specific. 2. Meet with a friend or family member who is willing to support you. Tell that person you want to evoke the power of commitment for the purpose of creating greater success. Put your hand on your heart, look that person in the eye, and repeat the following statement. I, and then state your name, do hereby commit to becoming a millionaire or more by such and such a date. When you're done, tell your partner to say, I believe in you. Then you say, thank you.
All right, guys, we have about 10 minutes. I would love to kind of chat with you guys about this and just hear your thoughts on it. That was like the perfect time because it was a chapter, but I would love to kind of hear what your guys' thoughts are on it, because here's the truth. The truth is that I've been doing this business for almost 11 years. I literally say it all the time. At the end of this month, it's 11 years. I am so not perfect, but what I can say is that I have been able to mostly master my mindset and what it takes to get very laser focused on a goal and make it happen no matter what. So I would love to hear, or Micaela, if you want to share anything too, if you guys have any questions, any thoughts, any comments, anything, I just want to leave a few minutes for you guys to, chat about it. If anyone wants to say anything like that, because this is kind of where breakthroughs and powerful things can happen as well when you speak up and you share, you ask, whatever. And if Micaela, if you want to share anything as well.
Yeah, I can share. Jesse kind of put what I had too. In the comments, rich people do not send mixed signal messages to the universe. And this is something that I love when they talk about that, because it's so true. Like, if you don't know what you want and you're just saying, your words are so powerful, what you're preaching out there, and even what you're thinking is so powerful, because those things happen, they become reality. I see it so often, like just in front of my face, like with my own family, with just random people. Like, it's just so crazy, like how it works. But ultimately, like, I've always been really careful about what I'm saying, what I'm doing, how I'm putting things out there, because I never want to play the victim. I don't want to ever play like a different narrative or have a different result than I want. I want to be successful. I want to have a rich mindset that allows me to live abundantly, and also, attract abundantly into my life as well.
Love that. Yeah, because in my opinion, you will rarely attract more than what you are until you hit a certain level. Like, I've never attracted more than what I was in that space until I hit a certain space, and then I started attracting people that were better enrollers, better leaders than me. And I'm like, heck yeah. But I wasn't often going to get that when I was, lacking the will to grow, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. I was gonna say too, as you were like talking about that, like that made me think too, like whenever I was like a Ruby for like that 6 months, like I wasn't attracting those people that would work in my business. I wasn't attracting the income that I was saying that I wanted. Like, when you say something, that's one thing, but also when you put action to it, those things together equals the right equation to give you the results that you want. And just being so like on top of everything, and whether it's with your words and your action and stuff, and your mindset, it's going to give you like that masterpiece for a successful business.
I love that. I mean, a simple thing is like this whole time, you guys, I have like 3 main like goals that I'm really working on, and I have my monthly goals. So it's to help my husband's account re-rank, and bonus, which means I'm helping multiple people under him promote. So that's kind of my this month goal. I have that focused. I have those charts out. I have that clear, simple focus. And it's just 99% of my time is going to be to enrolling and teaching. That's like where my time is. But when I journal, I like to go big. I already know that's happening and I have that written down on here, but pretty much that whole time, I literally was just writing the same couple of goals over and over. One of them is to be making $75,000 a month. Now I wrote that and I said by April. So like I'm thinking 6 months out, you guys. Now, am I going to get discouraged if I'm not making 70 next month so that I can hit the 75 by April? Like, no, I'm not. Like this is my overall goal by April. And I just wrote that down over and over and over and over. And I want a new personally enrolled diamond every single month. Okay. Like that. And even if that big thing doesn't happen this month, I'm saying is that if it is happening right now in the moment, and I'm being thankful for it, I am a duplicating machine. I have a million BV by March 24. So like I'm speaking that. Okay. Our volume went up from last month to this month. That has rarely happened in my almost 11 years in my business. Like we went up in over 14,000 just last month to this month. Okay. But I'm speaking a million in volume by March. Okay. Now this is where you don't start like thinking like how, right? Because I can't bring in a million by myself. I'm just saying what my heart is telling me to say, like what feels right. And it starts with me helping the Ruby promote, me getting my husband's account back to a re-rank bonus. Like it starts with those daily goals and then speaking out the big ones that I can't necessarily put onto paper myself, if that makes sense. So does anyone have anything they want to ask or share? A bunch of you guys always message me after Zooms individually, which is awesome. But I think also this is awesome too if you guys want to share. Even if you're new, it's totally fine.
I can say something real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
I have noticed in myself sometimes like getting caught up in like I'm doing all the mindset, I'm doing all the personal development, I'm reading all the books, but my mind is still not right. And I've noticed, which it might sound crazy. I mean, it sounded crazy to me then, but now that I've like grown, I was doing all those things, but then I was listening to just like degrading music and watching the reality TV shows and like all those negative things that I didn't realize actually had like a big impact on, what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And so I just think that's important too. Like our mind is so powerful and a lot of these things that we don't always think, like a lot of the, background noises, those subconscious things, those can really, affect our mind and how we're thinking. And so I've just tried over the last couple of years really to just pay attention to like, what am I, choosing to listen to music wise? What kind of shows am I watching? And even just making that simple switch right there, I feel like my business has grown so much because my mind actually is right. Like the work that I'm doing with the personal development, with the podcast, it's actually sticking and it's not getting, pushed to the back by all those negative distractions, I guess. So I just wanted to share that.
That's so good because it's like if I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like you're going to visit personal development while you listen to it versus like now like you're living it and you're feeling it in all areas in your life. And that's when the mind shift actually happens. Like you can't just go and visit it. Like you have to work hard to live it everywhere. And it's funny that you say that because I can go back every single promotion that I've ever gone for, you guys. That's what I've done. Like I remember in 2020, like I literally told Aaron, like the only thing that I'm having on the TV is self-development, or that's the year, or sorry, not self-development, like The Secret. I'm like, we're watching The Secret on Netflix. Like that's what I'm having on in the background. It was like the Michael Jordan film, I like was listening to it over and over because he was hungry, he was determined. And I was like, I need every area of my life to make sense. There was people that I honestly were sidelines and they were like, the sky is falling. And I was like, well, I'm choosing that my sky is not falling. So I love you, but I'm going to also separate myself from this chat or this group, like your circle, you know? And some of them, you know, boomed in 2020 and some of them went 10 times backwards. And it wasn't because of anything except for their own choice and their own mindset. But I love that, Destiny. That's so good.
I kind of want to piggyback off of that because literally it's like stupid simple of thinking like when you get to that point of like, okay, I'm doing all the things, like what else do I need to do? Like, I'm not even signing a customer. I'm not even signing a distributor. Like, I'm listening to personal development. I'm sending the messages. I'm doing the hat messages. I'm getting haps up, but like, what am I doing? And it's like exactly what Destiny said. Like, it's that background of, yeah, you may be listening to the personal development or yeah, you may be doing the work, but like, what are you doing during like your free time? Like, are you scrolling aimlessly? Are you, listening to that bad music or, being surrounded and getting all these messages like of the haters that are like, blah, 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 you're blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just like what you surround yourself by. And especially like what Christy just said of, you gotta exit that chat or you got to remove that person from your life or just like say pause and say, hey, hold on 1 minute, like I'm working on my goals, I'm working on my dreams, like I want to accomplish this, but I need you to just like step out and just be supportive from a distance and tell me later on like, yeah, you may feel like that, but once I hit this goal, like you're going to be proven wrong. So like I really wanted to piggyback off of that, and I thought like that's like my aha right now because literally like I'm going through that right now, to be honest. Like I get all these people like in my head and they're like, you're not gonna do it, you're not gonna do it, like just shut up, get away from me, I'm doing it. I'm gonna prove you wrong.
I love that. I love that. And I think too, when you start to truly grow as a person, like in my opinion, you don't even have to say shut up. Like it's like no, I don't even have to brush it off my back because it never gets on there. And I think like you're growing that strong backbone that you need, because the whole world goes right. You know, the 99% of the world goes right. Like, just like what he was saying. Oh, aren't you happy with where you're at? Why don't you sit down? You know, like the whole world is going that way and you're fighting against the current. But the thing is that in my opinion, the current, those are the people who are doing most of the work. Those are the people who are loud. Those are the people who are hungry, you know? And so it's a very powerful group. But I think that's also too, you guys, why I like this like Monday through Friday Zoom, because it keeps us very connected to what we want and what we know we can have. So love that. Is there anyone else that wants to share before we finish?
I'll share something really quick. I wrote down off of what he was talking about is what you focus on expands, and kind of off of just what you guys were saying. Like when I just think back to when I first started this business, maybe if for like any newbies are on here, maybe you've been in the business and you just need this as a reminder. Like I was a customer signing machine when I got started. And that's because that's what I was focusing on. That's what I felt like I could do. And I literally told my enroller, like, I can't sign distributors. And she was like, that's because you're saying you can't and you're not focusing on it. And once I started focusing on it, I started signing. Once I started believing that I could sign distributors, I started signing them. Once I saw that the business really does change people's life, I started signing people because I wanted to help people make money and get the same life change that I felt. So I just think it's a good reminder for us, like what we focus on expands. Like what are we focusing on in our business? What are we focusing on for our mindset, for our growth? Anything, but really just like if you have those negative thoughts, shift that around. And not only like journaling, like Christy said, like actually speak out affirmations. And that's something that's been huge for me in my business. Like literally I'll be in the shower, I'll be driving, I'll be like, I'm an LC signing machine, I'm signing my next diamond leader, like my team's on fire. Like those are the things that I'm saying. And when I'm signing and I am like on a high in my business, it's because I'm journaling. It's because I'm speaking affirmations. I'm speaking those positive things. But if I'm sitting here saying, my team's not enrolling, my team's not working. Guess what? I'm focusing on the negative, and that's what I'm seeing in my business. When I focus on the positive, I'm seeing that positive in my business. I'm seeing the enrollments coming in. I'm seeing the volume increase. I'm seeing the promotions on my team. I'm promoting. I'm helping my girls promoting. So that just kind of, when I heard him say that, that's what it reminded me of.
I love that. That's so good. Yeah, I've always done that, you guys. And it's funny when this is the last thing I'll share is oftentimes we do things that work. And then because we're on a high, we stop doing those things, right? Like we're like, man, everything's amazing. And then you stop doing them and you start to think what changed. But oftentimes it's because we stopped doing the self-development because we didn't feel we needed it anymore at that time. So I'm very like aware of that in myself. If things are, oh, my distributor enrollments are down, the first half of the month, like what am I doing different? And oftentimes it usually comes back to some sort of mindset, journaling, affirmations, me just literally claiming, like, you guys, when I was going for the island, and I talk about it a lot because it's my most recent, what I would consider like push for a promotion, right? Just a few months ago when I was doing that, like, I was like, I'm going to the island. I'm going to the island. I have 10 rubies. I have 10 rubies. I'm going to the island. And I ended up with 8. And then 1 or 2 of them didn't maintain. So 6 is what got me there. But like I said, and I specifically said, like, I don't know how many it's going to take, but I am going to the island. I'm going to the island. And I would have someone quit. I'm going to the island. Doesn't matter. A host of posts blew up and I signed a bunch of people. I'm going to the island. This post didn't do anything. I'm going to the island. It doesn't matter. I'm going to the island. Right. And so I love that you shared that, Brooklyn, because man, it's powerful. And like, I feel like writing it and saying it, that's where your real belief actually starts to grow. So thank you guys so much for jumping on. Love you all and see you later.